What's up, guys? We are just finishing up a few days of camping here in Idaho. It's one of our first trips of the summer, and I wanted to do a quick run through of the truck setup that we're using right now. This setup is what I would consider a mid-level budget setup that is accomplishing I like to think about the Pareto's principle a lot, that whole 80-20 thing, where it's what 20% of effort or things can accomplish 80% of the end result. And so in my mind, this is kind of that. It's not a huge built out $150,000 truck because I can't afford that. And I think most people are kind of in the same boat. And so I want to show you what I've got going and why I set it up this way. Yeah, so we'll just dive in. We'll start up with the truck itself. Like I said, it's a 2010. It's a long bed crew cab, and that's just because I wanted the space in the bed and in the cab for all of our stuff. When I got it 2 years ago, it was stock, and it had a brand new set of tires, so I felt, I guess, just a little bit bad getting rid of those right away, and so I said I'd wear them out first, and I did that. And then the suspension was also horrible. It was just bottoming out over every single bump that I hit. It was just tired. It had been run for over 100,000 miles, and so it came time to replace them both. And I decided that because I have the camper on the back, and because we're doing a little bit of off-roading, I wanted to level it and lift it just a hair, and then put a little bit bigger tires on it just to give a little bit better like rollover angle on when you are going off-road over rocks and stuff. And so the setup I went with was, I bought it from shocksurplus.com. After a bunch of research, ended up finding that they were the best option, and I'm really pumped about them. I'll tell you why. But for the suspension itself, I got Bilstein shocks all around, and then Old Man Emu springs up here in the front. For tires, I did Falcon Wild Peaks, and that is because I really like to have a tire that drives smooth on the highway, because as much as people like to think they're off-roading a ton, it still seems like you just spend the majority of the time commuting to and from the place you're going, and especially for me, because for the most part we use this as a tool to get to a place to do a thing, not to get to the place to drive the truck. We like mountain bike, hike, all that type of stuff. And so these tires do excellent on-road, but they also are phenomenal in snow, ice, sand, mud, like anything other than really, like, I probably wouldn't choose these if I was just going to be doing a ton of rock crawling or deep mud, but otherwise they're awesome. I've never had a tire that does as well in snow, especially on like slick roads. And so since in Idaho we get a lot of that in the winter, that was a priority. And as of right now, this is the fourth set that I've bought. They're on our Subaru, they're on our old F-250 that we have, and then now they're on this truck. And so they're awesome. Then in the back, for the suspension back here, like I said, because of the camper, I need to add a little bit of extra weight, load bearing capacity. And so I got a whole new leaf pack, and this one has like an additional leaf that you can throw in for additional weight, and that's what I did. And so I'll link all this stuff down below, because I forgot the brand right now, but it's been awesome. It's totally changed it. I don't hit the bump stops at all anymore, even when I'm flying down roads, hitting potholes and stuff. And they've been great. And oh, I didn't mention with the tires, these are 275/70 17s, and I haven't had any issues. There's a slight bit of rubbing on the mud flap in the front, but I took a heat gun to that and just kind of pushed it around, and it's not overly problematic. So I haven't had to use a hacksaw on anything. Yeah, so that's the suspension. Like I said, I'll link it down below. But the reason I said I love Shock Surplus is not because I am sponsored or anything. I paid for it all, but it's because in the front, when I first installed the suspension, I was having this issue with the in the top hat, the top of the strut. I just could not get it to be tight. It just had this little space. And so there's like a series of, the nut, the washer, gaskets, different things, and I had it all correct. I checked the diagram, did it all, but it just had like this little movement up there. The other side was totally fine, this side wasn't. So every time I went over a bump, or the shock changed direction of travel, there'd be like this little tiny little thud, and it was driving me crazy. And so I ended up pulling it apart, putting it back together, pulling it apart, putting it back together, looking at the diagrams, following videos online, and I just could not figure it out. Finally, I didn't know what to do, so I just called Shock Surplus, thinking, well, maybe they might know something. And sure enough, the guy I talked to, he talked to me and basically said that there's a gasket, an additional gasket that's glued up under this top hat that is viewed as permanent, and so therefore they don't show it in any diagrams. But when I pulled the old stuff apart, it fell out, and so I was just yeah, kind of, there's no way for me to know that it was supposed to be there, because yeah, I guess when it's permanent they don't show it, which was weird. But anyways, so thanks to that guy, that saved me a bunch of further headache. But for the back, we have a Go Fast camper. We've had this for a couple years now, and it's been pretty good. We got it because we wanted something that was light to where the truck would still operate as it normally does, and obviously be capable of sleeping in there comfortably, which it has, like, you know, a full bed up there with pads and stuff like that. But then also, because I do a lot of work like around the house and stuff, I wanted to be able to still use it as a truck when we're not on trips. And so it has a rack on top, it has bars. I've hauled a lot of lumber in this thing, probably more than it's designed to carry, but it seems to handle it really well. And then it's just, yeah, it's awesome to have access through all three sides, and to not have to worry about it when you are out bombing around on roads, because yeah, it's designed and used by people who do a lot more hardcore stuff than I do. Up top, I have some traction boards. So for my recovery kit, I have a set of traction boards, which I'm actually borrowing those from Buddy right now because I need to buy my own. And then I carry some straps and a come along. I thought about getting a winch. I'd love to have a winch, but if you get a winch, you're probably going to get a bumper as well, and those can cost a lot of money. And so I just decided a simple, you know, get out of jail card for the few times when I might need it will be, you know, traction boards first, because you can climb out of stuff. So far they've been awesome. I've gotten to use them a handful of times this winter, especially in the snow. And then if you do get in a pickle, you have the come along that you can pull with. You can strap to anything. And the nice thing about a come along, I guess, that is a little bit harder with a winch, is you can pull any direction off of anything on any vehicle. And so I'll just use a strap, wrap a tree. You can make a dead man, tie it off to your vehicle. You can tension it and pull with the come along, or you can just tension it and then vector back and forth and create a ton of force to where you can pull the rig, you know, whatever direction you need to. So a significantly cheaper option, albeit I'd still get a winch if it fit the budget plan. But for now, that's not the case. So we also have a roof box that we'll throw up there if we have extra gear. This rack can hold, I think it's rated for 300 pounds when it's closed, and then 70 pounds when it's up. So these struts will support the tent and everything with an additional 70 pounds. So like right now, I have some extra firewood up there, and the traction boards, and they're just fine. I've had even more stuff up there before. So pop around back. So this is probably my favorite part, to be honest. Like I said, I wanted something that would get us the place we need to go without, you know, blowing up, but then also be able to haul the gear we need and be able to use it super easily. I get tired of shoving stuff in and out, and using the limited tailgate space to cook and stuff like that. And so I built this system. It's a 2-part build, so I can take half of it out and just run one or the other, or take it out and it stores, you know, a little bit more compactly than if it was a single unit. So it's all made of plywood, and it's attached in the front. I have another video on this if you want to see that. But then on this side, I've got a huge drawer, and this is the kitchen and everything else kit. I've got a big Jetboil like camp stove, as well as a Jetboil like a small stove for boiling water. All my cooking supplies, spices, coffee, good stuff. The cutting board, and then chairs, table, extra food, and all sorts of good stuff in there. And then there's a little cubby that runs along the side here, and so I keep my fishing rod in here, and some straps and whatever else, and they're kind of protected and out of the way. So that is this side, and then we've got a big Jackery battery. Sadie is a photographer, and I do camera stuff too. And so we like to have a big battery that we can use to recharge the cameras and the laptops. And then on this side is a big rollout tray. And right now we have coolers on it because we have a bunch of food, and Sadie was taking some pictures because she works for this company. So these things are made right here in Idaho. If you are looking for a cool cooler, they have all sorts of stuff with wraps or different colors, and they're great. And they're made in Idaho. This tray has heavy duty slides on it. So this is a fully loaded cooler and a second one, and it's totally fine out here. I also built the tray to have a fork clamp up here. You can kind of see I have one in right now. I have a second one at home that I'm going to install, but this is for the bike. So if I do want to just store the bikes inside because the weather's bad, or I'm going to be somewhere where whatever, people have sticky hands, or if I just have, you know, one bike and less gear, then I can take the front wheel off and clamp the axle up there. Yeah, so then my bike rack, this one does the trick for now, but I want to swing away one just because it gets in the way a little bit, having to lean over it with the tailgate. So that is the setup. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you want to see a full gear list, check out my website, roadtoridge.com. I'm going to load that up, keep it updated, and yeah, catch you on the next one.